Good evening and welcome to North Andover CAM's 2024 annual meeting. I'm Brian Frazier. I'm the executive director here. This is our annual meeting for the membership, as we are a 501c3 membership organization, volunteer membership organization. And every year we put together a compilation of our year's achievements and celebrate what our members have done throughout the year. So to make this official, I will toss it to Michael Hale, our board president.
And I will, despite it being 2025, call to order the 2024 annual North Andover CAM meeting. I'll throw it back to you.
Excellent. So our meeting is open. Thank you. I'm going to introduce, and I'm going to read it because I'm just going to run with our slides here. Michael Hale is our board president. Steve Ventry is down on the table here. He's our treasurer. Michael Grant is our clerk secretary. He's also the superintendent's appointee. Michael Hale is our select board appointee for the board. Peter Bailey's and Linda Burns as our full board is here tonight. I think this is one for the ages. Sometimes we have people missing for, they're all professionals, they all have jobs, so it's great when they get to be here together. I'm Brian Frazier. In the control room is Bill Robert, Nick Maxwell, Yasmina Berlianu. Yeah, she didn't nod, so I didn't get it right. And then on our list of staff here is all our meeting contractors too throughout the year. Susan Martin, who used to be a full-time employee, is now back doing contract work for the meetings. So it's great. She had a little baby, and it's the perfect job for her. So she can help out whenever she can. Over the years, we had Liam Ryan as a high school intern. He did it for 4 years, I believe, all years of his high school career. He was here, and now is off to college. And Leo Wellock was a high school student through CAM over the years, even through elementary workshops. And he did come back once he was at Fitchburg State. He came back here for an internship, and he's actually worked as a sports contractor for us for the ski team, which is a fun story. During COVID, nobody could go to sports, so we learned real quick how to televise the ski races live from the bottom of a mountain where there was no internet, and we learned how to beam it to a place where we could get to it without doing a hotspot, because you run out of data real quick that way. But so we said, okay, we'll do this, and the next year, this is great. We had an intern. Next year, oh, this is great. We had some other brother volunteer, and each year I said, this is great. We did it for COVID, but that's not our job. We don't cover these things. You should get your 6 teams together and figure out how to pay for this. And then this year we had nobody, and we kind of warned them going into it, and we said we don't have any interns to do it this year. And they collectively realized how valuable it was for all 6 towns to have the streaming, ski races, and it created an opportunity for Leo. They all pooled their funding together and paid for his contractor work through us. So they all know it's coming next year, so hopefully they'll build it into their ski fees. So he was a huge asset to come on. So as an intern, he did it, and then once he was in the workforce, he came back and was able to solve that problem for the ski races, which was 6 towns, I believe. So it's good exposure for us, and it's a great value add for the ski team itself and the players. So that's all of us in a nutshell for the year of 2024. And what we did last year, we're going to kind of stick with it this year. We were able to wrap up last year's kind of video compilation and a look back at 2024 in video. So there's 2 monitors I'll try and get out of, or it might only be on that monitor, but I'll let the control room take it away.
hear these personal stories, it does make it, you just want to say, okay, we want to do this for everybody, right? That's what, I mean, certainly I have felt that way.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. My name is Mark DeSalvo, I'm the elected town moderator. This is, I think, the 16th time that we have sat together. And
so, since these are just districts that allow for zoning, the only effect that might have is what areas might be able to count it in terms of how big your acreage is.
North Andover, if you're on kickoff, you just have to, two things. One, you have to get down the field and, beat the man that's trying to block you. But two, also stay in your lane, stay disciplined.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm with the North Andover fan section here. Say what's up, everybody!
We've been raising sheep for 16 years now. We actually have over 100. This is Chloe. She's our bottle baby.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you want the community to know about community support? And if they need assistance, how do they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
In war, no one sets out to be a hero. And yet, at the end of every deployment, every battle, every war, there are heroes, sung and unsung.
Great performance from our first guests of the night, the Risley Bears. Let's give them a warm welcome to our stage.
To taste this side with the pepperoni and sausage.
You've got to promise me, starting now, no more.
All of these dialects have their own kind of intricacies that only their native speakers may notice.
North Andover High School hosted their first robotics tournament of the school year.
And it helped me get the confidence to say what I believe in.
You coached a lot of Hall of Fame athletes, and I said, yeah, this year, this class was particularly track and cross country heavy. And so it was nice to go in with those guys.
So it's fun to see all the stuff in one little nutshell. For years we did a little bit more in-depth review, but it was 20, 30 minutes long, and we never got to share it with the audience at annual meetings. So we kind of Brady bunched it and put them all in there and kind of showed as many as we could without overstimulating. But it's important for us to share it with you when you come out, because the stuff that we do, or help more precisely help other people do. It's important to show that during our annual meeting and document it. Next on the agenda is our youth member report. So we had Nick Kissel here for years, and we didn't think anybody was going to step up. And we have the brave soul, Jackson Ziegler, and he's going to thank you so much for being our youth representative leader who's taken over the reins. And he's got a PowerPoint. I think you can all just touch that and it'll move on, or I can do it as you tell me to do it, I'll do it.
Thank you, Brian. Yep. Next slide. NACAM had a lot of community programs hosted. There was 3 sessions, a spring, fall, and winter session. Each session ran for 6 weeks, with one for 4th to 5th graders and one for 6th to 8th graders. They did YCTV with the Youth Center. There was one session from January to March, a week-long summer program, and one in the month of October. They had hosted week-long workshops. I was a part of all 3 of these, I believe, and they were very fun and very interactive for all the kids.
So what were the 3? Just read it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. There was the February vacation workshop where we did the Black Box, a short film, a week-long summer program with daily sessions where that had different subjects every time. There was like photography and stop motion and other fun things. And there was the August workshop, which was a live TV show that the kids ran. The Sports Journalism Club started September 2024, ran in collaboration with the North Andover High School Athletics Department. Meetings are every Tuesday after school in the high school athletics office. And I will now step away so you can watch the video contest winner created by Michael Parker for the Youth Annual Meeting video contest earlier this month.
Thank you, Jack. Awesome.
Hello, Michael.
Hello. Well, hello, if it isn't Michael Parker. Hi.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are
If you couldn't already tell from the intro, I love going to a place where everybody knows my name, and that place for me is North Andover CAM. I always feel welcomed walking through the door, whether I'm going to CAM for recording or editing, whatever. Which leads us into my next reason for why I like going to CAM. There's just so much to do here. It just makes it so exciting to go in every day wondering, what am I gonna do today? Or maybe you have a plan because you like to write scripts like I do. Or maybe you have this idea that's been in your head for weeks for something you want to record. Well, you can go make that at CAM. My next reason is that CAM has taught me so much. In fact, it's given me a passion to work in the film industry whenever I grow up. This is actually something I want to be doing for the rest of my life because of the opportunity I've been given by North Andover CAM. And my final reason is that I've been able to make so many good relationships through NACAM. I have met many friends through NACAM, and honestly, the people who work here are amazing. And the last thing I want to say is thank you, NACAM, and thank you for watching.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
And so Jackson Ziegler right now is running the big board in there. He's running the technical director position, and I believe Parker's in there doing graphics. Yeah, so they're very active, and we love having them around. They're all part of Bucket Studios. Is that so they stopped reserving individual time, and just said Bucket Studios is coming in today, and there's anywhere in between 3 to 6 to 7 of them that come in and work on short films at least once or twice a week. They're fantastic. So that's our youth report. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the youth in general as we get into membership. Members for the year, just quickly running through the slides. So adult members are 69, youth are 95, which was up from 55 the year prior. So huge, and this is where I'm going to start to point at Yasmina. Yasmina came in as our youth coordinator, and her first workshop she ran was more of a film style workshop rather than it was like a cinema style rather than TV production. And we sat together and we said, what do we do in the studio? And just say, it has to happen in a black box, and people will kind of move in and out of the light, and they have to get creative that way. And it seemed to challenge them, and the camaraderie that that group built. Was it a summer workshop or a February vacation? And it was impressive to see what they did. And then on top of that all, she culminated the workshop in a viewing at the Warden Theater. Where are you? So we ended up having, and it wasn't just a viewing, it was a panel discussion. And she invited the kids up as their positions, as a director, as sound, and the audience got to ask them questions. And there's not another workshop that we're going to do that we don't do that, because the looks on their faces, the family got to see what they did, and how they interact with each other, and you get your answers from middle schoolers, and it's fun, but still just the experience itself, it elevated it to the next workshop, got better, and then they challenged themselves more. So huge success as we springboarding off of that workshop. The subsequent workshops, a lot of the kids repeated, but more importantly that we haven't had as much of in prior years was those workshop kids came back during the regular days and started doing their own stuff. Workshops are a dime a dozen. We can call Mr. Rick Galante at the school and say, hey, give us a workshop, and they advertise it, the kids come, but for them to stay and engage, it's a lost leader for us. We want to have the workshop to get them to engage all the time. And this is by far one of the most successful runs we've had. And great group of kids, and very engaging and friendly. So big props to Yasmina, who ran it all. So thank you very much. And Nick was part of it too. I'm not leaving Nick out, but it was her job title, so good partnership. Right, where are we? So senior citizens, 5, and then we've increased out-of-town memberships. I think it was 2 last time, but a couple years ago, we opened the doors to out-of-town memberships. Our policy is to support the other local stations and say, hey, make sure you check with your local station first. That's what they're there for. If for some reason they're not meeting their needs, they're more than welcome to come here. And sometimes it's just because of partnership and a friend lives here and they want to do production with their friends. So we're not going to turn people away. In a current total of 8 organizations, whether it's Parent Resource Network or the Lions, that type of thing. So those are the total number of organizations. There's more members in that, but those are the number of organizations. We like to chart. We've charted this graph over the years of how many members, and I'll try and get out of your way, versus active membership. So we love a lot of members, but more importantly, we like when those 2 lines are close together. So you have as many members, the most active out of those members. So, but we did go up from year over year. Last year we were at 146 total membership, and from 146 and 75 active in the prior year, and we're up to 85 active, meaning they've volunteered or worked on a project at least once. The staff is doing a good job of tracking hours. I'm not sure, did we add that into any of these? But they're tracking hours now just to see. It helps us with our awards, which we'll get to later. But positive numbers, you can see the dip in COVID. And other than that, it's been back to normal ever since. So we like to see that growth. The organizations that joined in 2024 is the Parent Resource Network, and Lisa's here today. And Build Group. Build Group they just wanted our conference room, but we gladly accepted them as a member to use our conference room. So our conference room is open to organizations in town if you want to use it, which is great. And now we're on to more of the bigger, easier stuff to talk about. A lot of the bigger highlights throughout the year. I'm going to go from the bottom up. We relaunched the journal. When we reported last year at the annual meeting, we talked about moving the journal from a typical news show with shorter segments to going to a magazine-style show where you'd have longer segments, like a chronicle, a little bit more intense sections. Staff rolled over last year, so we had Jonah, who was doing youth. He was from Ashland, Mass. He was from the South Shore. He came up here, had a job, and then by the end of the summer, he was ready to return back to the South Shore. And then Gabby, which you've all known throughout the years, was a doll because she was ready to give her 2 weeks notice when that happened and stayed on an extra month without me knowing. But she was ready to move on to acting. And I don't know if you've seen, gas? There's a natural gas. What's Eastern Propane, and a local car dealership. And the local car dealership aired. It was a local ad, obviously, but it aired during Monday Night Football, which I thought was pretty cool. So she's been pursuing that the whole time. She's done a lot of pageantry and stuff like that. So, but when Jonah had given his notice, she didn't want to leave us high and dry. But when half of your workforce disappears, am I going too far back? But when the journal, when we were down two full-time people, that kind of shifted the mission on the journal. So we kind of put, can be the easiest thing to put on hiatus, but we relaunched it in September. And so it's easy to move around, but it is a vital service, because if the newspapers are covering less stuff, the North Andover Journal is a place where we can pick up that slack. So we're back into that. We're moving into more like almost social media. We'll cover a story, we'll put it on the channel whenever we do it, and then we'll do a recap show toward the end of the week. You know, we went through that phase 5 or 6 years ago also. Athletic Hall of Fame, it's an every other year thing, and then COVID hit, so it's actually been 5 or 6 years. I mean, it was a long time. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but so instead of doing a spring event that was in the fall, that's a big event. We do multi-camera, and it's usually on location. It's usually at DeBarro's. DeBarro's is gone. Now it was at, where was it? The Elks in somewhere. We went out of town. Usually we have to go out of town for their stuff. But it's super local because it's all the North Andover honorees. We've done film festivals before at the Warden, but the one in particular this past year was one of our prior attendees wanted to host it, so it actually benefited the Historical Society, because then they rented the space, and we still were part of it, and we helped organize it all. But just because we had held those film festivals in the past, one of those groups came back and said, "Hey, can we get that space? It's such a great space." So it was a great opportunity for both of us to highlight. Here we go. North Andover. So last year we did two $1,000 scholarships. This year we're doing $1,000 scholarship to the North Andover High School students. Again, that scholarship is funded by our membership fees. So at the end of the year, we try and do a drive to make sure people renew their memberships, just so we can get that into the pool for available candidates at the school. I'm going to skip that. We did at the last annual meeting, but it actually happened more in last year. We piloted a business ad program. So as funding changes, the cable companies people are cutting the cord for cable companies. The only primary resource of funding we have is from the cable bills, and as people cut the cord, we get less money. We've been a little bit more isolated in North Andover because our population is older in nature. A town like Cambridge or anything closer to Boston, you get a lot more millennials. They're not watching cable. They're hurting for funding a lot more than we have seen the fall off. But it is coming, it's an issue, and we're trying to look at alternate sources of funding. So last year we tried with Dawn Signtech. She's a great friend. I said, hey, can we try this? I don't know what it's gonna look like. And there were bumps, because if I lose half a staff, 2 people, it's hard to keep up with the community and still run businesses, run things for commercial businesses. So we specifically, Dawn and I had been talking about it for years, so it was a great partnership. She was super patient. She had money to put into it for advertising. It took a long time. What could have taken, a month or 2 to get 4 commercials ended up being like a year and a half. And she still got her 4 commercials, and she was super patient. But it was learning, that we went into it to learn, where we're at. And it's complicated depending on our staffing levels and how we approach it. So it is a possibility, and it was a successful, as you saw last annual meeting, we ran the commercials. But there's, some considerations that we have to keep into account and plan accordingly. North Andover High School, just gonna make sure which ones are earmarked. Athletics, Steve Nugent and I have been working together since he's taken the athletic director position, and it's been fantastic. He realizes the value of having more sports on video, so that kids have stuff for college, and they can pull any of this. Now, we can't go and cover all those games, so how do we get more people involved? It's getting volunteers and adults, but this past year we decided he was going to drive it from the student base. We would support it. It's basically an after-school club. Our staff goes and does all the instruction and all the partnership, but it's the call to action from the athletic director. So there's a little bit more accountability, or even just camaraderie with students and the athletic director. If they're doing something for the school, they feel more empowered, and it's a little bit more personal for them. So it's been a great success. We had about 20 plus people show up in the beginning. We've, a lot of the interested parties rose to the top, and they've really engaged. And there's a couple people here in the audience, and they've been highlighted on our on our videos and our images here. So very excited, and they take it seriously. And it's not only just the students, but they interact with the adults who come to commentate, and just to, so you get a lot of multi-age, multi-generational interaction, which is huge. So we're looking for big things going forward. And baseball's next, right, guys? Awesome. All right, athletics, good. All right, so the rest have all kind of fun, neat little slides here. So Historical Society, we talked about last year and the year before. Join us here. The Warden Theater obviously is such a gem for us in our partnership, because we get so much content from them now. The lecture series, if you saw it, there was a lecture on the Boston accent, like awesome. Like, you're not going to see that on regular TV, but I was riveted and I was covering it. Over the course of the year, they started a local legacy. What's it called? Local legacy exhibit, and it was spurred into motion by a local resident in the corner here, Mike Sampupo, who was an engineer on the Apollo mission living in the area. So awesome interview. We spent a couple hours with them, sifted through some stuff, and now there's an exhibit in their hall. And it gives us the time to light a nice interview and do it right, and all kinds of fun stuff. The Farm Legacy project has come back. We mentioned that last year. And it's been kind of full tilt this past year. We've been meeting monthly. We've interviewed a few farmers, and depicted here is one of the wineries where the son came back to his home. He didn't want the parents to sell the facility, so he came back and changed it and made it a local destination place to stay over, like a bed and breakfast, but with wine. So go for it. And Mike Smolak came out of the woodwork, and we really started to spearhead things. We went And this year, we went and interviewed the Commissioner of Agriculture. We went to Southborough to the office and got all the information we needed for our project, which is now on par to be released. I've not paid attention to any of those emails because I've been too busy. June 13th, we're doing our premiere episode of Farm Legacy, and it's covering the growth of the growth and decline of the local farms and what local farming means to the community at large. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have our preview episode that covers the whole gamut of it and lays the groundwork for future projects. But I can tell you the technology's changed, because when we started this 12 years ago, the Historical Society back then said, can you get transcripts of that? Can you get transcripts? And now, Adobe Premiere, you just snap your fingers and the transcript is accurate. It is awesome. So we paused that for a specific reason, and now we're benefiting from it greatly. One of the biggest things I want to talk about tonight is, and that if you guys spread the word too, we've jumped on the podcast bandwagon, and all our meeting coverage, whether it's select board, town meeting, school committee, anything that's televised, we're also transcoding into podcasts, and we're making them available on Spotify and Apple. And so not everybody has time to sit and watch a meeting at home. But if you're commuting and you're running around, you can pop it on just like any other. You'll have to put away your audiobooks. But if you're interested in what's going on, or if there's something affecting you around town or your property, you can now listen to it like you would listen to any other podcast. And sometimes it's a lot easier, right? So sometimes you need to grab that information. So please spread the word. It's available on the websites. I was just talking to Nick earlier today, and John from IT and I were talking about trying to get our previous meeting videos on the electronic agendas, and there was a complication with that. For some reason, because the video is like a two-step process, it didn't marry well. But I'm going to talk to IT and see if that link to the podcast can just live on that agenda, so that when they release a new agenda, the old meeting, the prior meeting, will be there. So that'll be kind of a neat. Again, we're just trying to make things accessible at any part, any way for the government. Reese Across America, we showed the commercial. We showed our first episode last time. It was a huge success. I mean, I feel like we set out to do at least 10 videos. We did the 10 videos, released them each month. I think it was 10. And leading up to a showing at the Warden Theater. So we showed them all back to back. But more importantly, we went through the whole year. Bill Dolan spearheaded the whole thing. He came to me and said, hey, we have this idea. And so in a nutshell, Wreaths Across America is just like National Night Out. It happens all over the country. And this past year, North Andover decided to jump on board, and basically donations are made to buy a wreath, and donations are made to lay a wreath. Like somebody can volunteer to lay that wreath, and whether it's for the veterans in town. And the goal was for 1,500, and I didn't write down the number. What did you reach? About half. All right. So, but by the summer, there wasn't a lot. And like closing in on the end of the summer, there wasn't a lot, and then it just came fast and furious toward the end, and they came just above half. So we're going to try and do it again this year. But the truck rolled in, the wreaths volunteers showed out, and we were there to cover that too. So it was such a unique experience learning about the veterans. I think our first guy was from the Civil War. And this year we're trying to unearth some of the Revolutionary Wars to stay in theme with Rev 250, which the rest of the country isn't celebrating yet. You know that, right? Because it started this year for us, but next year it's for the rest of the country. So very fun. Very fun. So exciting stuff. And then one of our members does short film here every once in a while, and so we had some big name celebrities in the studio. Frank Santarelli from The Sopranos, Steve Sweeney, local comedian, which a lot of us know. Lenny Clark was here, and Steve Bjork was in the studio, and it was fun. It was funny. They are fun guys, but it's just neat. And then Yaz and Nick went to the premiere of Love and Space 2 in what town? Where was it? Arlington. And they had a blast. I was going to show it this year, but it happened in 2025, so we'll show it next year. But they did a great social media piece, which was exciting. But they got to go down and represent North Andover CAM, and everybody just had nothing but great things about the experience here. They come up here because of our green screen. Our green screen's bigger than a lot of the different places, so in most of the entire movie is green screen, so it's very crafty. But it was neat having some of the bigger name A listers, B listers. No, they're A listers, absolutely. They've been in a ton of stuff. They were here, and it was exciting. So it's great exposure. And that's it for most of the big events. I'm going to run through. I'll take questions later. We're almost done. Equipment usage. We don't really run through these numbers that much, but they're available for. These are the hours of use. Big jump in cameras, mostly because of Bucket Studios, because they're here all the time. So they're taking out multiple cameras in one day and doing multi-cameras. We like that. Program producers. These pie charts are shifting around. Member produced versus import. There was years early on where imports were majority of what came in here. Now the pie is definitely carving up pretty evenly here between CAM produced, school system, municipal, and imported. Social media. I mean, it's been around forever, but it's still, new, and we don't have a social media person that's an expert in it all. But we're trying to. It's hard to reach back for a whole year, so we're going to make an effort to log numbers per month, so we have an accurate of each year. But we decided to shift to some of these new stats, where it's interactions rather than just focusing on views. Story clicks. We're getting more into Instagram. That seems to be where a lot of the interaction is now. Facebook, we're there for information, but Instagram seems to be the trendy stuff where you can get a lot of exciting, if you just, I don't know, my wife says, just grab the popular music and then put whatever you want. Everybody will want. I'm like, all right. But funding. Get into the business end of things. Our typical pie chart of our cable operating funds, really those charts don't change that much. Comcast is prominent in town, and Verizon has always been a little bit less of the market share. The biggest thing that we've done in the last couple of years, we talked about it last year, is we did lock up money in a CD, and we're getting a ton of interest now that the rates are coming up. So that 20 grand is mostly interest in locking up some of the unneeded funds at the moment. But a lot of the other stuff is membership fees. We don't do too many sales. Nobody wants DVDs anymore. And even when they ask, I'm like, it's in the cloud. Can we just put it on YouTube for you? It's more important to make the video accessible. Anstis is still our auditor, although the amounts have changed, so we no longer have to be audited, because we were spending about close to $12,000 to be audited, but Massachusetts or the federal government changed the regulations. Now we only need a review, so it's a little less taxing of a process and less of a service fee. And then here's our chart. As we've been pretty isolated. These are quarterly numbers, so that's why there's so many of them. I tried to figure out, I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute. But it's quarterly. But you can see that there is a specific trend going down. Again, we have not been hit in history as hard as our peers in the other towns and cities. But notice there's a big drop toward in 2024. We are bracing for it, and we're trying to figure out other ways to fund, whether it's through more business ads. We're talking about, we've started to rent the facility My priority in renting the facility, which we discussed this as the board very supportive, is if we're going to rent, it can't interfere with the public mission. So if they're going to rent, it's going to be during the morning hours, stay away from after hours or after work hours where the community would be in here using it for our mission. So that, and that's in our agreement, so that they can't say, well, we need to stay longer, because I've worked in the television industry, I worked for the news stations, I've worked for broadcast. Things go long. You got to get the shot done, you got to finish it. So we have to be a little bit selective on who comes in and is being paid for service. So right now we currently have a podcast in here that comes every week, and it's a paid service. So when it's a paid service, it has nothing to do with our policies and procedures, our rules of content, does not have to go on our channel. It's just a rental of the facility. That's separate from the mission. And we make that clear. Any questions in general? Any of the content questions? Any of the funding questions? We good? CAM funding future. We're still past our expiration. Oh, did we have one? I'm sorry.
Hi, so they can hear you on. Hi, I just wondered with the graph you had about membership.
Membership.
Way back at the beginning.
Yep.
It was good to see it. Both of them went up at the end for this year.
Oh, you're talking about the yes, absolutely.
Why do you think that? What brought people in?
Well, the big jump was the youth. They went from 55 to 90.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yep. So we doubled in youth.
Were you going into schools more, or?
I do think that first workshop really had a lot to do with it, and then the workshop got spread,
So
and then the subsequent workshops, it was new people each workshop, and then friends would join mid-stride too, right? So then the friends of the kids that did the workshop. So
can you do anything with adult groups that you could go in and introduce yourself and maybe suggest things to them, like clubs and everything?
Yes, we were hoping that sports was going to be that, because when we engaged with the Hall of Fame, I said, if we're going, we want a table, and we want literature about how. What's that?
I want a literature hall.
You can do it, yeah, absolutely. But absolutely. But for the Sports Hall of Fame, we said we want literature out there to call for commentators. You have all these townie athletes. Why not stay involved and if you were on the basketball team way back when, why not come and commentate and whatnot? Questions?
So I am a student along with Anthony here at the high school, and we're in the sports journalism club, and we mainly cover like basketball, football, baseball, the big sports. Do you think there's a way we could cover more like the smaller sports, like track or golf or even softball? Like, I know you guys just posted a softball video a few days ago.
Yep.
But do you think we could try to like post more of like the track videos and the golf videos? Tracking is very successful.
Yep.
I'm not trying to brag.
Yep. Coach Baggs during COVID did a lot of track, so there's a model of it. We're doing tennis, so we have we found a simple solution for tennis. We found a long pole and a little clamp in our little tiny camera, and it just hangs on the top of the fence, and it's the perfect view of tennis. So yeah, and then again. It's fine to cover it, and it is what it is, and you get the game noise. It's better and more fun if there's a commentator and some engagement and whatnot. So that's where we're trying to pull the adults in. But we've also had people come in and learn photography. So we're trying to, like I said before, a kids workshop is a dime a dozen. Like, their parents are looking for it, kids are looking for it. Adult workshops is hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like, when I joined community television, I don't know if you guys, when you went through it or whatnot, it was like new, and a bunch of adults went. And I was a teenager that joined, but there were like 5 or 7 adults in that class, because it was a new and exciting thing. Like that, everybody has a TV studio in their pocket now, and they can edit and they can shoot. So Photoshop seems to be a big draw with adults. We try and get them in the door as much as we can. 4 years ago, we did maybe it was longer than that. How old are my kids? We did a how to do your parental controls on your cell phone, which is like an act of Congress. But we did a workshop on that. We got some adults in on that. So, but yeah, it's definitely harder to get the adults involved. But it's usually half and half. You know, it's half adults and half youth. Yep.
What about adding programs for maybe kids who are either out of high school or still in high school, but they're out of district because special needs? Because I know that that is a huge area that most, if not all, communities are lacking for after-school programs.
Right.
You have a kid who's out of district who comes home in the afternoon. Now all of a sudden they don't have the ability to participate in the different clubs that the traditional high school kids are participating in, and we're having more and more kids in that special needs category that maybe cognitively they fall more at 17, 18 years old, but in terms of what they should be, but they might have lower executive functionings and could probably do a lot of the same programming that the middle schoolers do. Is that something
Right,
that...
yeah. Actually, I think a company from Andover just reached out to me, and we're supposed to meet next week.
Because you know from Ability Assistance, 3 out of our kids have autism.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and what I've learned too, even through sports, sometimes when you focus some of those kids in on one thing, they excel better than anybody else, you know, so absolutely. We did come across something where somebody was because some of our workshops are through community programs, so that's how they get in there. But like our vacation workshops aren't limited to the schools, so that's marketed globally, not globally, but townally. But yes, but we could do something specific that might call attention to it, and maybe the homeschoolers or anybody can figure that, or out of district. That'd be great. Missing any good? All right. License renewal. So CAM funding in the future. So we're past our financial. I'm drawing a blank. Our franchise agreements are expired. Our operating money is triggered normally, but our capital money does stop. So that's why our capital money is down, just because that's a finite amount of time, and so we don't get our annual capital through that. We're close. The Cable Advisory Committee for the town is close. They've gone through that whole contract, and we're just waiting for the final meeting with Comcast to finalize it. Diversified funding, we talked about that. There's a mass streaming tax out there that's back on the bill, and hopefully getting more and more support. Feingold is our one guy we'd love to get on board, so if anybody can reach out to Barry, he needs to hear from us that people are in favor of supporting community television. And then we talked about our business partnerships with commercials. That's our future. Cord cutting, we talked about that already. And then the future. So next year, we've a lot of talk, and we did one already, but GovCam Municipal Education Series. Partly there's a lot going on in town right now, and a lot of it stems around process. All right, so a lot of the people come to the meeting, they bring up these ideas, but it may or may not jive with the process of things that have already been fleshed out. So we're going to take it upon ourselves with the town to do educational videos about the process. We did one for the planning board a little bit, how to, that was, what's his name? Peter Boynton. Yep. So they spelled out a little bit of the process for the public hearing that they were putting on. So we're going to try and do some basic evergreen stuff for that and help educate people. Historical Society content, Farm Legacy series. We also upgraded the AV system over there. We're almost finalized that, but it's hopefully should be pretty push button for the staff over there so that we are less involved and they're more supportive over there. We enjoy being over there, don't get me wrong, but we're trying to make things easy for them, and it gives us great content. North Andover Journal, we've talked, and again, all through these years, it's been a lost leader too. It's a great service, but it really gains strength if it's citizen-driven. We should be there facilitating things. We shouldn't be out, filming everything and coming up with the ideas of everything. If there's content that matters to the citizens, they need to be the one that drives it. So they can, again, I say this year after year, they can take it over and we can just guide them in the proper journalistic fashion. So we're going to try and push that more and more. Engage residents in local sports, and then town promotional commercials. The town has talked about, and we're excited because we have a nice cinema camera to do this, but welcome to North Andover on their website. We're supposed to do a marquee video about drawing people into the community, so that's exciting. We talked about facility rental opportunities that we're looking at for funding also. And I believe that's all I have for now. Any other questions? Any other interests? Anything to talk about? Business item slides. Anybody looking?
That was so last year.
We did. We were going to put that on here. That's right. Was that? Yeah.
Was 20, end of 2020.
Yeah. So robotics has a new teacher, new instructor, and he gingerly approached me and said, we have this process and it would be great to have video. And I was like, yeah, we've done that before, but they stopped doing it. Like they just decided not to do it. But we ended up supplying video. Years ago, they were in the gym and we streamed it to the CAF and we did all these things. But this year he said, no, well, we've been to these annual conferences and they have the fields. He basically put the fields on the stage, and then we videoed top down and projected it on the screen so that the rest of the audience could see everything. And I tell you, the short amount of time I was there, Yaz was there a lot, everybody said, this is just like Worlds. This is just like Worlds. This is amazing in the close-up and the detail on everything. And a robotics tournament is in basically a square, and the robots have to run around. Anybody see BattleBots? Like that's the coolest show. But anyway, it's not BattleBots. But they run around and they have to do these tasks and whatnot. So the top-down view is perfect. And we were actually a little bit at an angle, which gave it a little bit of depth and whatnot. And the experience was phenomenal. And we did it a second time into the next year. I mean, any other feedback from you? I think you were there too, right?
I've been to too many and then we have the North Andover sending a team to Worlds next week, actually. And it was, being in the auditorium is fantastic compared to the field house.
Right. And we live streamed it, and the trouble with it technology-wise was we had to marry it with their gaming software, their tournament software, which gives you the clock and the score, and they're updating all that, and we had to marry it with our stream and then send it out to the world. And it didn't, as far as I know, it didn't crash. It didn't, so it was great. So. But he was so nervous coming to me. He's like, oh, some teacher told me to check with you guys. I said, yeah, we've been doing it. We did it, number of years ago, but for some reason they just stopped doing it. I don't know why. Actually, we didn't host for a while too, right? Did we not host the big events for a while? That was before you guys?
No, but I know that it got shifted around and stuff like that, and the dates change and things like that.
So the new instructor, the old instructor retired. And we were great friends, Motherway, and he's a great guy. But when the new guy came in, it's a great partnership, and I don't see why it's going to stop. So hopefully they're looking, because I think the team can earn money because they're is there fundraisers and stuff that they can hold during if they're hosting, so it only benefits the team for us, and we're happy to provide that service. Absolutely, thanks, thank you. We were going to add that to the slide, I forgot. All right, so I am member treasurers. We did that. So I guess business, the only main business of the evening is our elections. So we had one board seat that was up for renewal, and that's Steve Ventry. He's our current treasurer, and he is up for re-election. We did not have anybody else interested. So do you?
By default.
That's okay. That's okay.
Everybody step back.
Yeah, exactly.
But most importantly, he did say to us that he did want us to remain serving prior to us vetting it out and reaching out. Do you want to say a few things?
No, I'll just say Steve Ventry. I work here in town at the Lowell 5 as a commercial loan officer. I've been with the board now for probably the last 10 or 12 years, and it's a great organization with a great mission. Just happy to serve.
Awesome.
I think we need from the membership a motion to elect Steve to the board. So someone needs to make a motion.
So moved.
A second?
A second? All right, I think we need to hold a vote.
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye. 3 more years.
I think it's unanimous again.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping the board together. And I can't say enough about the board. We, without the new franchise agreement in place, without constant capital coming in, we haven't had a lot on our agendas. It's kind of operational business at hand, but until we get that franchise agreement sealed and can kind of really look into a solid future, it's just been kind of mundane, routine stuff. So we are planning. We talk a lot about alternate funding and whatnot, but the board's super supportive and easy to get along with. So thank you very much. And we couldn't do any of this without fantastic staff and the board of directors. I run around town a lot trying to get feedback from everybody, and I generate ideas, but really the staff does a lot of making it all happen. It's fantastic. We got a great facility now, and the just the rising tide of the engagement that we have is fantastic. So please spread the word. That's one thing I ask for, and send them to us, and we'll get them excited about television and media. Yep.
Invite everybody to the Ann Bradstreet Awards program at the Common on Saturday afternoon.
Yes, this weekend, right?
Yep.
So this weekend there's a celebration.
If it doesn't rain.
If it doesn't rain.
Yeah, it's the Ann Bradstreet Poetry Contest.
Ann Bradstreet
Awards.
Poetry Contest Awards. How many submitted?
1 to 4.
What?
There will be about
from 1 to 4.
30
on the Common.
people awarded, including a lady who's here tonight. Oh, she's gone.
Did they submit already, or they're going to submit that day?
Already judged.
Okay, all right,
These are
fantastic.
judged poetry
Awesome.
pieces.
Awesome.
5th year.
Fantastic.
5th year.
Fantastic. That's awesome. So yes, please come this weekend. I think I'm going to show up to get everybody started with the camera. Did you reserve your camera?
Not this week. It's going to be next week.
Did you reserve the camera with the staff? Or
Pardon?
did you reserve the camera with the staff? Or
Oh,
did
yes,
you?
I did.
Because
So
if you
I-
talk to me, it doesn't get done. It's the staff
Yeah.
that, okay. All right, so some of the fun part of our evening is we love to give recognition to our members. And I am going to start with North Andover CAM Awards. And Jackson Ziegler, who you've seen earlier this evening, is North Andover Middle School Youth Volunteer of the Year. And that has the most hours. We'll do a little photo op. Thank you. Awesome. I love having you around, and I can't wait to see what you have coming up.
Thank you.
The broad projects. Let me just see. Who's next? Okay. All right. Good. It's easier if I look before I show you guys. And then our next award goes to our high schooler youth volunteer with the most volunteer hours, Frankie Garcia. Not here this evening, but he did a lot with sports. And I have a feeling that the sports journalism guys are going to surpass this next year, so we'll see. And then next, remember last year they were out of backwards order? It was fun. All right. This one was tough again. Man, we had to do pie graphs and reverse trigonometry on this one. our adult volunteer of the year again, for I think this is the third year, Kevin Mange. Kevin Mange. Come step right up here in the light. Thank you, sir. I'll take a handshake. Do you want to say any words? Or do you want your bling? You can have
first
both.
my bling and then maybe some words.
Okay, go right ahead.
All I just have to say is thank you so much for the many people that became my fans of me. That supported not only my Kev's TV series of The Kevin Mann Show, but also I just want to give some recognition of my own YouTube channel. I would like some more followers as possible, mainly in my YouTube channel is mainly everything of all my favorite TV shows that I have enjoyed since I saw them. I'm not going to tell them all of them. I know I made a video of them. When I did, I ranked them. When you see it, you'll understand all my favorite TV shows and also my favorite movies.
Nice. Yeah, right. Nice.
So I guess I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Watch your step. Fantastic. Kevin, you're great with numbers. Is it 3 years or 4 years in a row?
Can't remember.
Okay, all right. So, 3? Okay. There's others creeping up on you, though, so just be careful. That's awesome. Fantastic job. All right, so, our newcomer of the year, which, if I remember how it was explained, so we get people engaged in one idea, whether it's a workshop or a project or whatnot, but then they stay on and they kind of get involved with their own stuff and start doing more projects on their own, is Michael Parker. Please come up. Michael Parker, he doesn't stay around to talk to me too much, but he's in here all the time, and it's a pleasure seeing you. You're a joy to have here, and you light up the place every time you come, and I love seeing your stuff. So I can't wait to see any more ideas. You're welcome to say a word or two, or you can just say thank you and go.
All right.
Come over here to the...
Honestly, this is the last thing I could have expected to happen tonight. I did not know about this until maybe 2 hours ago.
Because you saw the title, because that's your job, right? He's doing the titles in the control room.
Yeah, I'm doing the graphics in the control room for this. So when I was playing with them and like going through all the different titles and everything, I was like, Michael Parker? Who's that? Wait. And it was just like, oh, okay. So now I know, but I genuinely was not aware that this would happen. Yeah, so this is a shock.
Fantastic, fantastic. Awesome, thank you. Excellent. Excellent. And is this our last one?
It is our last one.
Our last award is for Podcast of the Year. It goes to Mike Lane. Mike Lane. He in podcasting, I think it was explained that it's the most listens, most downloads. So Mike Lane is our Podcaster of the Year, which is just, again, podcasting is back. I mean, it went away for a long time, and the last couple of years, it's niched out. So fantastic. Thank you very much. And that is it for our annual meeting. This it's been a pleasure, and I thank everybody for showing up. It's great. We had dinner from Salvatore's this evening, and I thought it was pretty good. There's leftovers. Please take them. And at this point, again, spread the word about us, and we'll take anybody and engage them, have tours anytime during the day. We're here, guaranteed somebody's here between 10 and 6 to just have any walk-in traffic. And then we're obviously here into the evenings too. So thank you again. Thank you to the board. Thank you to the members. And thank you to the staff in the control room. Good night. I'm holding my pose. I'm freezing.